Hi guys. We are back with another Wasai story. No more nonsense. Let's get straight into it. This story was told to me by a practitioner. Just recently, around December, he finished dealing with this. The person involved worked in a major city for an internet company. As everyone knows, internet employees usually leave work very late. But that day, he had a gathering with friends. Since it was the weekend, he left on time while his colleagues stayed to work. The gathering was right next to the company. They were eating and drinking, and he ended up getting a bit too drunk. Because it was a cold winter and he lived far away, taxi fares were expensive. He thought, the company is right here, why not just crash there for the night? It was so cold, so he decided to head back to the office to sleep and save money. In their office, there was a meeting room with those small benches for nap time, the kind you can half lie down on. He arrived at the office around 11:00 p.m. He saw a colleague still working, which made him feel less afraid. He wasn't fully drunk yet, so he chatted briefly with him. Then, he needed to use the restroom, and his colleague happened to go too. In the men's room, there were 4 stalls. He took the innermost one, and his colleague took the outermost one, leaving 2 empty stalls between them. Soon, he heard the toilet flush. He asked, "Hey, name, are you leaving?" There was no answer. He said, "I want to smoke a cigarette in a bit. Do you have a light? Let me borrow it." He tapped on the wall of the next stall, thinking his colleague was there. "Do you have a light?" Then, a hand reached out from the next stall and handed him a lighter. He took it and tucked it into his clothes, saying, "I'll return this to you once I'm done." After finishing, he washed his hands and returned to the office, only to find it dark. His colleague was gone. He figured they were close, so he would return it the next day. He went to the smoking area to smoke. The smoking area had to have the window open a crack, otherwise the smell would be too strong. He was already tipsy, and the cold wind made the alcohol kick in. Feeling exhausted, he went to the meeting room, set up the small lounge chair, and laid down to crash. The office AC was very warm. Late into the night, he didn't know what time it was, but he vaguely noticed the meeting room door open. Outside, the lights were off. He saw someone who looked like a cleaning lady mopping the floor outside. It sounded like mopping. "Still half asleep," he said. "Auntie, you're here so early. What time is it? You've already come to work." After he spoke, there was no sound. Then the auntie glanced at him. Because he was so dazed and drunk, he didn't feel any abnormality. Later, when he recalled it, his hair stood on end. Her head had peered in horizontally from the height of the doorknob. A normal person would tilt their head to look in, but her head was completely sideways. This meant the body had to be entirely horizontal for the head to peek in like that. He just said, "Auntie, you don't need to clean this room. I'm sleepy. Tomorrow morning, I'll help you tidy it up." Then he just ignored it and fell back asleep. The next morning, he felt terrible with dark circles under his eyes. He just thought he hadn't slept well. He worked for another week, but his body grew weaker. At night, he started having messy dreams about everything, but he couldn't remember them. He just felt like he could never get enough sleep. His boss said, "Why don't you go to the hospital? Your face looks terrible lately." The hospital checked him and just told him to rest, but the medicine didn't work. He began to suspect he had encountered something that night. He first found a practitioner who said it was just karmic creditors and told him to burn some offerings. He did, but there was no effect. He felt his body getting even weaker. He took a leave of absence to go back to his hometown to find a more powerful master. That night at home, something even more eerie happened. His parents started having nightmares about their son being pulled down from the building by a dark shadow that looked human yet wasn't. They woke up in terror only to find their son dancing alone in the dark living room with his eyes wide open. They thought he had lost his mind. "Son, what's wrong?" Even though his eyes were open, he had no history of sleepwalking. His parents spat at him, but he seemed completely unable to feel them. He just kept dancing. Then he tried to open the door to go out while still in his pajamas. His parents held him back and realized this had to be solved. The next day, a master arrived. At first, he brought simple tools, thinking it was just a fright or a wandering soul. But after seeing the situation, his expression changed. "This won't do. Bring him to my temple tonight. He has provoked something not of the ordinary." He stayed at the temple for a night, and the master performed a special ritual. The master sent him home and said, "The entity is gone from his body, but it knows your home now because it followed him here once. I must perform a ritual for your house." During the ritual, he put salt in water. That salt began to crawl out of the water, forming crystals all over the outside of the container by the next morning. The master used wooden plaques to set up several charms in the corners of the house. "Your son must take a long leave. He cannot leave this house for 7 days. Do not let him go out. You parents can go out normally, but this child cannot." After 7 days, the matter was finally resolved. Later, the master admitted he was unsure himself. He said this method was the most powerful one I knew. The thing he encountered wasn't a common ghost, but a may. Normal ghosts have many branches and usually don't cause much harm. But some are powerful vengeful spirits, and others, after cultivating, become one of the 4 types: Kai, Mei, Wayne, or Liang. That's it for today's story. I'll see you in the next one.